gasping for air. You're drowning in a crushing sea of people. And yet, everyone around you is just basking in the chaos. If this is you, listen closely. Your neurological wiring is fundamentally different. The latest research confirms it. You aren't defective. You are simply engineered for a reality that the majority of the population will never even perceive. Think of it like this. You are a deep-sea creature suddenly hauled onto a sun-scorched, blinding beach. The very light and air that others enjoy, for you, they feel like they are grinding the very air from your lungs. You step into a frantic transit hub. Suddenly, the world's volume is cranked to the max. Those harsh LED lights, they feel like jagged needles pressed against your retinas. Total strangers rush past. They treat you like a hollow ghost in the machine. There's a heavy, vibrating static in the air that makes your throat tighten. You scan the room. Everyone else looks perfectly fine. They're chatting, they're scrolling, they're just existing. Meanwhile, you're standing there like a mismatched, jagged puzzle piece. You're preserved, you're a mother living right from your people. You're many people everything with himself, counting the seconds until you can finally vanish. Here is the truth. You aren't damaged. You aren't a hermit. And you are most certainly not a freak. Your internal processor is just decoding the world on a completely unique bandwidth. Knowing, perhaps that's the hardest part. Feeling like you're the only one who can hear the high-pitched hum of the world, while everyone else is deaf to it. It's exhausting, isn't it? But let's look at why. Number 5. Your nervous system is a high-performance engine running far too many silent background tasks. Most people have a lazy mental bouncer standing at the door of their mind. He casually turns away 90% of the world's noise. These people walk into a crowd and their brain says, ignore the screaming toddler, ignore the siren, ignore the smell of cheap coffee and heavy cologne. But your brain? It's capturing every single frame in ultra-high definition. Full sensory immersion. Researchers call this sensory processing sensitivity. Your mind doesn't just observe the environment, it absorbs it. Every half-finished sentence, every subtle frown, every tiny shift in the room's temperature. It's like trying to catch a thundering waterfall in a fragile teacup, while everyone else is just standing in a light drizzle. No wonder you're mentally fried after 30 minutes at a wedding. The data is clear. Highly sensitive people analyze environmental cues with raw intensity. Your neurons are literally pulling a double shift, while others are on cruise control. That mental burnout you feel? That isn't laziness. It's your brain finishing a triathlon while everyone else is taking a light stroll. And here's the part they don't tell you. This hyper-attunement is why our species survived. While the rest of the tribe ignored the subtle snap of a twig, people like you sensed the predator first. Your sensitivity isn't a bug in the code. It's an evolutionary masterstroke that kept the human race alive. You aren't too sensitive. You are calibrated exactly right. Number 4. It isn't the presence of people that depletes you. It's the absence of authenticity. Let's be real. Crowds aren't just a sensory nightmare.
They are an emotional tax you never agreed to pay. In large groups, people start performing. The hollow laughter, the rehearsed, "I'm great," the entire exhausting theater of pretending everything is perfect when it clearly isn't. And you? You can detect that insincerity from across the street. You pick up on the micro-tremors in a voice, the tension in a forced smile, the way someone's energy contradicts their words. You don't hate humans.
You hate the script. Small talk is like trying to survive on a hollow diet of cardboard when your soul is starving for a feast. Experts call this social masking fatigue. It's the reason you trade a dozen loud parties for one genuine conversation at 3 a.m. Your mind is starving for substance, not background noise. In a culture obsessed with the superficial, that makes you dangerously rare. Findings from major universities suggest that those who avoid large social gatherings often possess higher emotional intelligence. Translation: you aren't socially inept. You are socially discerning. You don't need 100 contacts. You need 3 real souls. That isn't being antisocial. That's being wise. For you, being alone isn't about isolation. It's about integrity. It is the only space where you don't have to edit, filter, or minimize yourself to fit into someone else's comfort zone. Number 3, your neurochemistry is fundamentally distinct. Researchers have mapped it out. People who avoid crowds have a different relationship with dopamine. Dopamine is the reward chemical. When extroverts engage with a crowd, their brains throw a party. They feel fueled, electrified, unstoppable. But your brain, it releases significantly less dopamine in high-stimulation environments. Instead, you get flooded. It's your brain's way of saying, "System overload, exit immediately, return to base." That is why, after a social event, you don't feel pumped. You feel like a battery short-circuited by a massive power surge, leaving your internal circuits scorched and silent. Here is the secret. Your brain prioritizes acetylcholine instead. This is a neurotransmitter that rewards deep introspection, quiet focus, and calm. While extroverts need the external world to feel alive, you need the internal world to access your brilliance. You aren't avoiding people. You're just chemically optimized for depth over distraction. Scientists at Harvard found that introverted brains actually have a higher density of gray matter in the prefrontal cortex. That's the region for complex thought. So, when you're sitting in silence doing nothing, your brain is actually doing everything. You aren't killing time. You are synthesizing life at a level most people never even touch. That isn't seclusion. That is incubation. That is why you feel most vibrant in the quiet stretches, driving late at night, a bookstore at opening hour, a walk through the woods where the only rhythm is your own heartbeat. Those moments aren't empty. They are where your mind finally gets to breathe. Number 2, you are an emotional lightning rod, and that is a gift, not a curse. Have you ever walked into a room and instantly knew the vibe was toxic? Everyone was grinning, but you could feel the friction, the hidden resentment, the heavy, invisible cloud hanging over the table. That's because you possess hyper-empathy. Your mirror neurons are firing at a much higher rate. Think about being in a crowded mall. You aren't just managing your own feelings. You are a human sponge walking through a toxic waste spill of emotion. You can't help but soak up the invisible grime of every broken heart you pass. It's like being a high-gain antenna picking up every frequency at once. No wonder you want to leave. But here is the beauty of it. This makes you one of the most perceptive people in any room. You look past the masks. You hear what isn't being said. And that is an incredible rarity. Number 1. You aren't hiding from life. You are guarding your peace. Our society is obsessed with the loud and the busy. If you aren't at every meetup, people label you as boring or stuck up. But choosing tranquility over chaos is a radical act of courage. You've discovered that silence isn't an empty room where you're trapped. It's a private garden where the most beautiful parts of your soul finally bloom. It's full of clarity, vision, self-discovery. Your solitude isn't about being lonely. It's about being connected to yourself. It's where your sharpest thoughts are born. You aren't missing the party. You are opting out of a game that wasn't built for your hardware. And that takes serious guts. You know, I used to think the goal was to finally learn how to enjoy the noise, to be normal. But then I realized the world doesn't need more people shouting into the void. It needs people who can actually hear. Although, perhaps it's better if you decide that for yourselves. Next time someone asks, "Why are you so quiet?" just give them a smile. They don't realize that while they are splashing in the shallow puddles of the surface, you are exploring the vast, glowing cathedrals of the deep ocean. You see the depth. You feel the resonance. In a world that never stops shouting, your stillness is a revolution. You aren't broken. You are just built for a different purpose. You aren't a broken light bulb in a noisy, flickering room. You are a laser beam, focused, intense, and capable of cutting through the dark that others just stumble through. And that is exactly what the world is missing. So tell me, are you someone who feels suffocated by crowds? Or do you thrive in the noise?